the snack that smiles back. Tim was a second-generation Japanese student at a local middle school in Michigan. At his school, there were a variety of kids from different cultures, yet Tim had to learn many new things. Tim's family spoke Japanese at home and did many of the Japanese cultures and rituals that went along with their heritage, but one day, Tim had to show his real heritage on a school trip. Tim's school was going on a field trip to an art museum in his town to learn about the culture of the United States. The kids lined up and walked to the bus like any other day. They boarded the bus and headed down I-75 to get to their destination. The bus suddenly hit a bump and began swerving. The bus driver drove the bus to a complete stop and asked the children to get off the bus. Tim's best friend Yusuke, who was also a second-generation Japanese student, walked off the bus slowly with Tim. They watched the bus driver and teachers gather around the front of the bus. Both of the front wheels on the school bus had popped and there was no way to repair it. "Well, looks like we're going to have to walk," said their history teacher, Dr. Westhoff. "We are only 3 miles from the DIA, and it would be good exercise since you are all missing your gym class today anyways." The children began to groan, but decided to follow along and began walking. Tim and Yusuke walked along and looked around at their surroundings. They found Detroit very different than their hometown of Troy. The group walked and eventually stopped at a 7-Eleven for a rest. Dr. Westhoff sat the kids around the parking lot and gave them a speech. He said, "Kids, I know that this is not the best circumstance, but brick walls are meant to be there, so that people that want something bad enough can get over them. The people who don't want anything are the ones that end up getting stuck behind them." Yusuke raised his hand. "We aren't being blocked by a wall, doctor. We are being blocked by a bus." The little children started to laugh. All of a sudden, Matt Shepard began to break out in song. "The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round until you hit a pothole." "No, seriously, kids," said Dr. Westhoff again. "Look around you. We are in Detroit. These people face brick walls every single day. This is not a wealthy neighborhood like you all come from. These people have to work every day to barely pay their bills and live a life to support a family which may not last very long due to money. Life is hard, but everyone in the United States has an opportunity to be successful. These people realize that and work hard to get over those brick walls." The students began walking again, and about 10 minutes after leaving the 7-Eleven, they saw a homeless man shaking in front of a building. Tim asked Yusuke, "What's wrong with that man?" "He's homeless, Tim, duh. He probably hasn't eaten in a couple of days." Tim looked astonished and reached into his coat pocket. He had a bag of goldfish that his mom had packed him earlier that day. He tapped Yusuke on his shoulder, and Yusuke nodded at him. Tim walked over to the man and stood in front of him. "Hey," said Tim. "Hi," said the man in an awkward tone. "I saw you shaking over here, and my mom packed me the snack this morning. I'm not very hungry, so I thought you maybe like them instead." Tim put the goldfish in the man's lap and walked away. The man quickly got up and ran to Tim and tapped him on the shoulder. Tim turned around and the man gave Tim a hug. "My family died in a car crash years ago. At the wake, people brought me presents and gifts hoping to cheer me up, but nothing did. Not even the most expensive sculpture or the most delicious brownies. But these goldfish, from a kid like you that probably doesn't understand a thing about depression, has given me hope again." Tim looked confused, then nodded, and walked back to his classmates. A bully at Tim's school named Gary quickly questioned Tim's actions. "Why would you help him? He doesn't deserve it. He's homeless." "That's not his fault," stated Tim. "Everyone in this country deserves a shot of happiness. So I was giving him a very little step towards that happiness." "What would you know about happiness? All you do is sit at home drinking your stupid green tea and studying." Many kids began to laugh, but Yusuke and Tim looked puzzled and angry. "I know that this country can do magnificent things for people. I know that my parents came here looking for happiness when they had nothing and eventually found it. My parents were not accepted in their town in Japan because my dad is white and my mom is Japanese. But in America, everything is so blended. It's a melting pot. That, in itself, is a form of happiness." Dr. Westhoff patted Tim on the back and smiled with a tear in his eyes. "Let's go, kids. We are very close." The children got to the DIA in around 20 minutes, and the teachers let the kids wander around. Dr. Westhoff pulled Tim over to the side. "That was very mature for your age, Tim. I would have slapped Gary around a bit if he said that to me at your age. You gave that man a gift I'm sure he will never forget. You're right. Everyone in this country is given a right to happiness, but not everyone has the same opportunities. You know that song you were singing, the wheels on the bus go round and round? Yeah, they do. Life keeps going. You showed him that. You need to get over whatever happens like a stupid flat tire and keep chugging along. Life is a gift, that's why we call it a present. Another bus came to pick the kids up at the end of the day. Everyone got home safely. Tim was awarded Student of the Month for his work with the homeless man. 4 years later, Tim was watching the news with his parents. It was the holiday season. Tim's family was setting up the Christmas tree. Tim's eyes, though, were glued to the TV. The homeless man he helped 4 years earlier was on it. There was a story about the man who lost everything, yet now is a successful stock investor. There was an interview. A while ago, a kid gave me goldfish, the man said with a tear in his eye. I don't know exactly how to describe what that did for me. There's a popular kids movie called Finding Nemo that I watched a while ago. Dory the fish said, "Just keep swimming, just keep swimming." I did. I took those fish, ate them, and then decided it was time to move on with my life. If you're out there, kid, thank you. You saved my life. The man was working at Gleaner's Food Service in Detroit, trying to give everyone food for a holiday season. He wanted to give back to his community. Tim began crying, and his parents quickly understood that was the same man that Tim helped 4 years earlier. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.